The story of Harriet Tubman is a beautiful one of bravery, love, and caring about others more than caring about herself. Harriet was born into slavery in 1820 in a state called Maryland. At the age of 12, she was hired out by her master to take care of a family's baby. Her job? Well, her job was to make sure that the baby didn't wake up at night crying, thus waking up the mother. Unfortunately, babies don't always cooperate. Babies do cry at night. And when the baby did wake up and started crying, and thus waking up the mother, Harriet was seen as not doing her job. And unfortunately, Harriet would get a whooping each time that the baby woke up at night, waking up the mother. After many nights of not keeping the baby quiet, Harriet was sent back to her owner. Shortly after returning to her master, Harriet found herself in trouble again. There was a little slave boy on the farm where Harriet Tubman lived, who was being punished for something that he really didn't do. Harriet, seeing that the boy was being accused and being punished for something that he didn't do, thought that she would say something to the owner about this. And while Harriet was speaking to the owner, telling the owner that the boy actually didn't do what he was accusing the boy of doing, the little slave boy broke away from the owner and started to run. This made the slave owner very, very angry. And he picked up a piece of metal that was laying on the ground and threw it in the direction of the little slave boy. But instead of hitting the slave boy, the piece of metal actually hit Harriet in the head. And Harriet would suffer from terrible headaches for the rest of her life. And it really caused her a lot of problems. She was not the healthiest little girl as a result of that. In 1849, at the age of 29, she escaped from slavery and went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She felt, however, it was her duty to return to Maryland and free her husband and her other friends who were still in slavery there in Maryland. It was at this time that Harriet learned about the Underground Railroad. You see, the Underground Railroad was really not a railroad like we might think of, but it was a lot of little secret hiding places that were set up by white people who really hated slavery as much as Harriet, and they were willing to do all that they could to help Harriet help the slaves escape. The slaves would travel at night under the cover of darkness and rest during the day in these safe houses, which was part of the Underground Railroad. It is said that Harriet made between 12 to 17 trips to the South, freeing more than 300 slaves. As you might be able to imagine, the slave owners were so upset that Harriet was helping so many slaves to escape to the North and to freedom that they placed a $40,000 reward for the capture of Harriet. But this never stopped her. In fact, Harriet was so serious about helping slaves escape to freedom that she would threaten to kill any slave who became afraid on their trip to freedom and wanted to return to their masters. She would tell them that you either go on or else I will kill you. In the 1860s, the United States was involved in a civil war. This is a war that was fought between states in the northern part of our country and states in the southern part of our country. Those states in the north really did not want slavery, while the states in the south did want slavery. Well, during the war, Harriet worked for the north, those states that didn't want slavery. She worked as a spy, and she was very helpful in telling the northern armies how they could best attack the south. And this was very important in helping lead the north towards victory. After the Civil War was over, and it was won by the northern states, the slaves were free. Then she turned her attention to other areas. Among them She helped to establish a school for these newly freed black people. You see, during the Civil War and before the Civil War, it was against the law for blacks to learn how to read and to write. And Harriet thought it was very important that although she couldn't read and write, she wanted these other slaves to be able to do that. Harriet was also very important in the movement towards helping women get the right to vote. You see, women couldn't vote in the United States until 1920. But during Harriet's lifetime, she thought it was very important that women should have this right. And she worked very, very closely with many other women who felt the same way. Harriet also was responsible for establishing one of the first homes for older people. These were for old black folks who lived in Pennsylvania. However, one of the things that we want you to be able to tell your mom and dad when you go home today is that you learned about Harriet Tubman. And the thing that she is most famous for is being the conductor on the Underground Railroad, where she never lost a passenger. In fact, she was called Moses, much like the Moses in the Bible that many of us have studied about.